the friends on the friends merits to begin with. Yes, dear friends, we have to tell our appreciation to all our friends to world. CLE we always say till we open the gates of our hearts, and we know, and we feel, that behind this door there is a real love, and to unite in this love, and to feel this unity between a silent workshop. Question, let's enter a connection in one heart, and feel the Creator. The silent workshop. Question, let's enter a connection in one heart, and feel the Creator. There, Hello everyone, we are starting a month of articles on the topic of Passover. The article we will read now is from Rash. What is the reason for which Israel were rewarded with inheritance of the land in their work? The study material, you can find it in the study materials tab in the AR system. You can also send questions. If you ask a question here, make sure you have the microphone, stand up and ask loud and clearly. What is the reason for which Israel were rewarded with inheritance of the land in the work? The verse says, this is not for you righteousness or the integrity of your heart that you are going to inherit their land, but it is because of the wickedness of the nations that the Lord your God is driving them out from before you, and in order to fulfill the oath that the Lord swore to your forefathers. We should understand this, for it implies that the reason that the Creator gave the inheritance of the land to the people of Israel is, as it's written, because of the wickedness of the nations the Lord your God is driving them out from before you. That is, were it not for the wickedness of their nations, there would not be any interest in giving the inheritance of the land. We should also understand the second reason. He says that it is because the Lord swore to your forefathers. Were it not for the oath, would the Creator not need to give the land to the people of Israel? This is difficult to understand. Our sages said the world was created only for Israel. This means that all the good things that exist in the world are for Israel. This implies that it is for different reasons that the people of Israel are given the good, expansive and coveted land, a land flowing with milk and honey. The text provides two reasons. 1, the wickedness of the nations. 2, the oath that he swore to your forefathers. Yet the writing tells us that we should not be mistaken, that the reason he is giving us the inheritance of the land is our righteousness and the integrity of our heart. Rather, it is for the two above mentioned reasons said about what is written. And he said to him to give you this land to inherit it. He said, how will I know that I will inherit it? And he said to Abraham, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and they will torment them 400 years, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. He asked, what is the answer that the Creator replied to what Abraham asked? How will I know that I will inherit it? The Creator said, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. This means that the answer was to the question, how will I know? That is, Abraham says that he wants guarantees about the inheritance, so the Creator answers him so that by his answer he will be certain of the inheritance of the land. Thus we should understand the answer, for it contains a guarantee of the inheritance. He said that this means that when the Creator told him to give you this land to inherit it, Abraham saw the greatness and importance of this land, since the matter of the inheritance of the land refers to Malat, which receives all the lights from above and bestows upon the soul, since Mal is called the assembly of Israel. Abraham saw, according to the rule, that there is no light without a CLE, meaning that there's no filling without a lack, that if the Creator were to give to Israel a little bit of illumination and awakening from above, they will settle for little and will have no need for higher degrees. As a result, Abraham saw that there was no way for the people of Israel to receive the inheritance of their land, since they have no need for it. This was the question, how will I know? It is not that he did not believe what the Creator had told him. Rather, his question was that he said that he could not see them having a need for it. It is like giving something precious to a person who has no need for it. He cannot enjoy it. It follows that even if they are given the inheritance of the land without the need, they will not be able to enjoy it. Although from the perspective of the giver everything is fine, if the lower one has no need, what can the giver do? This is what Abraham asked. The answer was, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers, that is, they will be in exile in Egypt, which is called a land that is not theirs, meaning the people of Israel who want to work for the sake of Creator, the Egyptians will control them each time the people of Israel will want to come out of exile, as is written, and the children of Israel sighed from the work, and their cry went up to God from the work. Generally, the nations of the world are called will to receive for oneself. However, there are many desires in the will to receive, and each desire is attributed to a specific nation. This is why they are called in general the 70 nations of the world, corresponding to the 70 discernments in the desire. This extends in a manner of one opposite the other, meaning opposite the 7 of which are each of which consists of 10, which together make one nations. Also there's the discernment of Israel, which are named after yes to the Creator. These are opposite from the will to receive for oneself, but are rather discerned as the desire to bestow upon the Creator. In other words, he wants to bring contentment to his Maker. Therefore, since the Egyptians controlled them, they had to do all their work for the Egyptians and not for the Creator. This is why it says, and the children of Israel aside from the work. It means that the children of Israel wanted to work for the sake of their Creator, but the Egyptians controlled them. This is why they sighed, that is, they saw that not only they were not progressing, they were retreating. This is why it is written, and the cry went up to God from the work. Then when they saw that they could not emerge from exile by themselves, they asked the Creator, as it is written, and their cry went up to God, that is, the Creator helped them out, helped them come out from the exile in Egypt. This is as the Zohar says about what was said, he who comes to purify is aided. It asks with what, and it replies with a holy. So it follows that, specifically when they are under the governance of evil, do they see each time more so the governance of evil. At that time a person comes to feel two things. One, the will to receive, which is the governance of the Egyptians, is so bad that it removes him from the Creator. That is before he began to the work in order to bestow. He did not know how much harm the will to receive causes him. This is so for the known reason that a person is not shown the power of the evil at once, rather he is shown by bit, for otherwise he will immediately escape from the work and say that this is not for him. According to the above, we should interpret the words of Mayon says that the matter of Lishma is not revealed to a person at the beginning of the work, but until they gain knowledge and acquire much wisdom. They're shown that secret little by little. We should understand what it means that they are shown that secret little by little. We should understand how there can be such a thing as little by little. After all, when a person is told that he must do everything, everything is revealed to him. What else is there to reveal? We should interpret that when he says they are shown, who is it who shows them the secret of the matter of Lishma? We should also understand what he says, until they gain knowledge and acquire much wisdom. Who knows that one has been rewarded with until they gain knowledge and acquire much wisdom. We can understand this as the Zohar says about the verse, or make it known to him that he has sinned. He asks who made it known to him, and he replies the Creator. We should understand why he says that the Creator makes it known to him that he has sinned. In what way did he inform him? We should interpret this in the manner that is written in the Sulam. One engages in even for his own pleasure. Through the light in it he will still feel the loneliness and the terrible corruptness in the nature of receiving for oneself. At that time he will resolve to retire from this nature of reception and completely devote himself to bestow contentment upon his Maker. Then the Creator will open his eyes to see before him a world filled with utter perfection, without any deficiencies whatsoever. Now we can understand how the Creator informs him that he has sinned. We should interpret that even when a person learns Lishma, the light in it informs him that the will to receive is the cause of all the evil, obstructor to man's ability to receive this delight and pleasure that he wishes to give to the created beings. And the light in the Torah is regarded as the Creator notifying to a man that he has sent. We should also interpret why Mai says that we must begin to accustom a person to work in Mar and not Inma. This is so because the matter of Lishma is revealed to a person by his receiving the light of the T. Follows that if he does not engage in Torah, even From where will he take the light of the Torah? This is why my says that we must begin with by this we will understand what we asked. Who knows if they have been rewarded with much wisdom, so it is permitted to reveal to them the matter. The answer is that the light in the Torah knows how much they are inspired by the light of Torah, and to that extent it is possible to reveal to them the matter of Lishma. By this we will understand what Maimon says, that they are shown that secret little by little. It means that the matter of for the sake of the Creator means not for one's own sake. A person must feel what is not for one's own sake, and this reveals to him the light of the Torah. Hence each time the light shows him the amount of bad that is in the world. Receives sins through the light of that person receives from the Torah. He sees each time a little bit of the bad that there is in the will to receive. This is why he says that he is shown little by little. Evil is interpreted in two manners. One, the quality of the evil, meaning how much one loses by receiving for himself. Two, how much the body objects to the work of bestow. Those two a person receives from the light in the Torah little by little. This is the meaning of the words. They are shown that secret little by little. That is through the light that he receives from the T. In he reveals the two above matters. In other words, the measure of the evil found in the will to receive, and the measure of resistance of the body each time to a greater extent, when one sees that he is able to overcome. This is why it says little by little, meaning that each time the light reveals to him which is called that it is impossible to reveal to him at once. Now we can understand what we asked. Why does the writing say that, specifically through the wickedness of the nation, they were rewarded with the inheritance of the land? The reason is as the Creator promised Abraham, that in this way, meaning if Israel suffer from the Egyptians in exile, meaning all the nations of the world with all the bad qualities in them want to control the people of Israel, and the people of Israel want specifically to do everything for the sake of the Creator and not for the sake of the 70 nations. At that time they feel the lack, and they will see that they are powerless to overcome them. Then it will be as it's written, and the children of Israel sighed from the work, and their cry went up to God from the work. At that time the Creator will give them the required help for this. That is each time they will be rewarded with a holy soul, and this will be the reason that the children of Israel would need to receive the inheritance of their land, since they will receive it out of necessity to save themselves from the control of the nations of the world. This is the meaning of the words. But it is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord your God is driving them out from before you. In other words, specifically through the wickedness of the nations, the Creator can give them the inheritance of the land of Israel, since the sensation of bad when they reveal that this evil obstructs from achieving nearness to the Creator. For this is all that we need, since the matter of near and far in spirituality is the matter of equivalence of form. When there is equivalence of form between the light and the CLE, the light dresses in the CLE. Hence the sensation of evil called wickedness of the nations causes the need to be rid of the bad, and then a person begins to purify himself from reception for oneself, and sees that it is out of his hands. At that time he begins to pray to the Creator to help him. As our sages said, he who comes to purify is aided, as said in the words of the Zohar. He is given a holy soul. In other words, each time he receives help from above by being given a soul, it follows that the sense and the sense are the reason that cause the need and desire to receive the inheritance of the land. This is why he says that the reason is that the Lord swore to your forefathers. That is not that the reason is that he swore to your forefathers, and this is why he is giving them the inheritance of the land. We asked, but our sages said about what is written in the beginning, there is no beginning but Israel. It follows that it was all for Israel, and not because of the oath he swore to their forefathers. Yet we should interpret that when the people of Israel are qualified to receive the inheritance of the land, when they have a need for the inheritance of their land, as he says, but it is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord your God is driving them out from free. This is the reason that the children of Israel will inherit the Land it is known that land is called Mal, and Mar is called the assembly of Israel, since she assembles within her everything that there is in Zanin who is called Israel. This is called the unification of the Creator, and his through this unification abundance pours out to their souls. All this comes from the beginning of the thought of creation, as our sages said there is no beginning but Israel. This means that the purpose of creation, which is his design to do good to his creations, refers to the children of Israel, but in what way will they receive the delight and pleasure? The text tells us about this, that the main reason by which they are made fit to receive is the wickedness of the nations, and also to fulfill the oath that the Lord swore to your forefather. The inheritance of the land is as he notified Abraham when Abraham asked, how will I know that I will inherit it? The Creator's answer was that the children of Israel would be in exile, meaning in the wickedness of the nations. It therefore follows that a person cannot ascend the rungs of holiness unless he feels a deficiency in the state that he's in. That is the deficiencies and suffering he feels give him a need to find a way by which to satisfy his deficiencies. But if he does not feel any lack within him, although he might know that he has deficiencies in the work, but this does not pain him, so this lack cannot be satisfied because he does not seek counsels for it without an awakening from below, meaning without a person asking the Creator from the bottom of their heart. The prayer cannot be answered, because if he is not suffering from the absence, he cannot ask with all his heart. This is as it is written in the seeking good for the Lord your God blessed you in all the works of your hands, even if you sit idly. The meaning of all the works of your hands is that if he did, he is blessed, and if not, he is not blessed. We therefore see that without an awakening from below, meaning if there is no work on the part of the lower one, the blessing cannot come. The question is why? The answer is that when a person begins to work, the work gives him the need for that is there's a difference in the need for matter. This means that we should understand to what extent a person wants to obtain what he wants, and the work and the counsels that a person invests in order to obtain what he wants expand the lack for the matter, so when he obtains it he will be able to enjoy it. Therefore, when speaking in the work, although there's a need within man to ascend in the work, that need still does not make within him a necessity for the matter. So naturally, when he's given something from above, and he still does not know how to appreciate what he's given, he will lose it into the sense. He will not be wise enough to know how to appreciate something in spirituality. This is as our sages said, who is a fool? He who loses what he is given. That is when a person does not know how to appreciate when he is given some nearing from above, it promptly leaves him, and he suffers a descent, since he does not know how to keep the nearing. Normally, if someone is permitted to enter somewhat into the king's courtyard, he is concerned and seeks ways by which to enter the king's house, and he does not settle for being in the king's courtyard. When a person is brought a little closer, he is happy that he was brought closer, and does not worry about finding ways to go forward. Therefore, that person is thrown out then when he suffers a descent, which is called a road accident, meaning that he had an accident as he was going to approach the king. That is another car crashed into his car, meaning that the car of the corporeal world crashed into the car of the desire to bestow, and then all the vitality that he had from the desire to bestow departed from him, and he was left unconscious. In other words, now he feels that he no longer has spiritual life, rather until he gradually recovers and begins to feel that his entire vitality on which he now lives is only from the will to receive for himself. At that time he begins to seek advice once more how to re-enter the work of bestow. It follows that in order to have a deficiency need to ascend the degrees of the work of bestow, he is given from above the descent, so he would have a need to advance, since without a real need a person cannot receive what he should obtain. Hence, if a person wants to keep himself from having a road accident, he should keep himself so he does not crash with the car of the will to receive. By this he will be certain that he will not lose what he's given, meaning the ascent he has received. According to the above, we should interpret what is written. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from the firm. Though we should interpret that in the work, a person must remember that he had a descent before he came to an ascent, meaning that the Creator let him feel the bad in him. In other words, a person should believe that this feeling that he is a slave among the Egyptians, namely that he has no commission to do anything for the sake of their Creator, all that he does is only for the sake of the Egyptians within man. This comes from the Creator. Afterward, he must remember that now that he's in a state of ascent and feels that he is somewhat close to us, he must remember that he should go forward. Therefore now he must remember that as he was previously a slave, meaning that he was in a state of descent, now he should he also needs to find within him a lack, so he will need to go forward, otherwise he will have to be given a descent from above, since without a need a person cannot advance and must stay in the state. He therefore, in order not to need to be given a descent during in the ascent, he must find within him a place of lack. This is the meaning of what is written, remember that you are a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you from out there, brought you out from there. It therefore follows that a person should begin the work like the general public, meaning in practice, and to aim that it will be for the sake of their Creator. This means that a person observes because the Creator gave us the Torah of life, whereby observing what the Creator commanded us, we will be rewarded. As our sages said, you can trust your landlord to reward you for your work. By this we will be happy in this world and happy in the next world. The fact that we must believe that, even if views and thoughts that do not let us believe come to us, we must ask the Creator to give us the power to believe. Afterward, there is a higher degree which is not in order to receive reward, rather he is rewarded with feeling that observing to is regarded for him as though he is serving a great king. From this we come to inherit the land. Questions again. Yes, writes to us that the condition to reaching Lishma is the inspiration from the light of Torah. How do you reach this inspiration from the light of Torah? Well, what does it say in what we read? I'm asking who can answer. It says little by little, from little by little, bit by bit. That's how you're receiving from the light of T. When you learn, then you receive that awareness. Yes, it says the answer is that the light in the Torah knows how much they are inspired by the light of the Torah, and to that extent they can be shown the matter of Lishma. There's a lot about how the light activates the person and reveals everything to the person, and the question remains, how do we set ourselves up in a way that the light is the fervor that runs everything? Here, yes, more, no, with the same question also, because he says here the light in the Torah knows how much they are inspired, and to that extent there is an ability to reveal to them the matter of. So it's as if there's a humanization here of the light. Like the light has some thinking, and it knows how much, and according to that it gives you correct. What can more? Yes, when we begin to connect, the light comes and it shows us what we have to work on to rise to the next degree, and then we reach Lishma. Ken. Yes, good morning. He says that you have to engage in tea to acquire the light, and make question that arose in me is what does it mean to engage in the Torah? It's clear that the light corrects, but I still don't understand what it means to really engage in the to even lish in order to reach Lishma. I hope that's okay to ask. Yeah, it is indeed a question. More, I think that at the end of the article he gives an answer to how to advance. He says therefore during an ascent one has to find a place of deficiency, so the whole method of how to advance is actually to reach some artistry, that even when you're in an ascent you can find some place of deficiency to keep moving forward, and that's how a person basically always advances in awakening from below, because like he says here, without awakening from below nothing will happen, meaning the light will advance him, but it has to start with some work of the person. So with what should a person be equipped? The group that will push him, I think something that will always give him that direction for how to advance, cause it's truly work it. Some art where you're, even though you're in an ascent, you still find a lack. Yes, more, Ken. Yes, continue that it's even more, cause if you don't find a lack during the ascent, then you'll have an accident, so you're pressed to find some lack, or you're going to have to fall to some corporeality, and it's really not clear how to always be in a direction of more and more lack. Can know, maybe something from life. It's like a child looking at an older child and wants to be like him, so in every stage, we always have to look higher to grow more. Correct. Yes, thank you. I think that ultimately, the Creator lets us appreciate the connection with Him. And what I mean is that the light on the other hand lets us feel the evil within us, the will to receive for ourselves, and this demand, this lack for correction, for bestow, is only through really asking for the Creator's help. Without help from the Creator, which is actually through thought between us, the connection between us, the love between us. Without it, we can't reach the stow. We can't reach love of friends without this mutual force that we build by discovering His other side. Without deficiency, like He says, without vessel, there's no fulfillment. And this starts from, well, first of all, He gave all of us the awakening of the point in the heart. That's our foundation, and following that we develop. The Creator gives us more and more lack until we come to the true meaning of life. What is the force of bestow and love? And that's the inheritance that we received as Israel. And everything ultimately comes from yearning to adhesion, to equivalence of form with the Creator, and nothing more to add. Yes, just to say, He says that before He started working in order to bestow, He didn't know how much evil causes the will to receive. So the more we try to work in best, bit by bit, we begin to reveal the evil inclination, the wickedness of the nations, and this causes a great need to advance, to not stay as Abraham, because Abraham is asking, how will I know that I'll inherit it? Abraham is right. So in order to not get stuck therein, he needs to remember that you were slave in Egypt, and so forth, to remember that, to have that lack and advance. And if I understand correctly, it's to move from right to left. Yes, EWR, at the end, a person needs to start the work as the collective meaning, as general public meaning in practice, and to aim that it will be for the sake of the Creator. Two conditions, and before that he writes that without awakening from below meaning and action from the lower one, the blessing cannot come. And the question is why? The answer is that the fact that a person begins the work then gives him the lack for matter. Yes, the name of the article, what is the reason for which Israel received the inheritance of the land. So he writes that there's a promise for that inheritance, and that is Mal, that receives all the light from above and bestows to the salts, because Mal is called the assembly of Israel. So that's with regards to how to receive the lights and what for, and so on. More question. There's a question here: if the way to bring a person to the goal is to give him a recognition of the bad, ill will, and to come out of it, and then recognition to come out of it, and the work in Egypt is quite clear. But after they come out of Egypt, how does it still give them fuel? Wait, we will learn that too. We still not out of that we need to learn more. Okay, so no more questions. All right, what I said before, what does Rash not say? In order for you to succeed in reaching this deficiency while you're in a sense, you need a group. Why is a matter of group and friends not included here at the end of the article. He doesn't even mention it because in the beginning of the exile, it's not clear to the person, but I'm saying he gives an advice. How can a person alone realize it? That's clear. That's why ask question. That's clear. When you're innocent, you don't look for deficiencies. He's happy you can receive deficiencies from your environment, and here it's not mentioned. So I'm asking why it is like that. He says it, but he doesn't explain. Leaves room for next articles. Seriously, yes, if the way is that descents are necessary, why does he say that a person has to guard himself so he doesn't have a collision with the will to receive, so he doesn't lose what he's given? What does it even mean to guard himself? To guard himself, to not succumb to the will to receive. But he says that the whole process is that you will feel the will to receive is stronger, and that will, if you need for the Creator, the fact that you're going to feel it is something else, but it's not that you identify with it. So how do you guard yourself? Guard yourself from what? From the collision with the will to receive. What does it mean to guard yourself? How does one guard oneself by understanding each time better and better where the will to receive comes from, how it endangers him, and how does a person overcome. In words, there is a process of advancement through a descent and then an ascent and then in descent, and we see from life that the Creator has this tendency to dry you out. Correct also by removing him from the group, from spiritual. He doesn't make you feel more of a need. You kind of dry up, yes, that a person will see what he can do on his own. So how does a need come together with a descent? Because he often says that there are two things. One is the recognition of evil, how much the will to receive pushes you away from the Creator, and the other thing is how much do will to receive objects to bestow can't bestow. This is what he wrote. Seems to me like many times it feels like the will to receive objects. To it he says it's out, it's beyond your nature, you're incapable, but along with it the necessity doesn't come with it. How can we add that without him receiving now a force against it, he's not going to be able to come out of it. He's going to remain in Egypt forever. He doesn't have the force to come out. He doesn't have the force to come out of Egypt. That's exactly the point. How not to accept at that moment when you understand that that's it, you're giving up. You can't. The Creator doesn't let you agree with it. I'm saying accept the situation with the situation. Yeah, he also the one who of course you up, who takes you out. Yes, he who takes you out of Egypt. Yes, sir. Continue the question, and also Gad's question. Person is advanced, promoted slowly, and he says the first time you're admitted into the King's Hall, how do you find ways to keep advancing? On the other hand, I heard many times that when you come to states, it's important to agree with the Creator and what it takes you through. So it's not clear to me how it works together that you agree with everything he takes you through in order to come to for the sake of the Creator. And also, how do you advance when you admitted into the King's court, or when you're allowed to taste only by the environment, only by the group? But there's a situation like he says here, I give up. That's it, I agree. I did what you want. Now if you raise your hand saying I don't have it, you don't, but in the connection with the friends you do, and then through them you look for ways how to enter the King's Hall, or how to advance in the work, even though because when he admits you into the King's Hall, it's a state of ascent, yes, but it's up to you not to get into what can you do. What's up to you is to want to be connected to the friends. I heard that the will to the biggest will to receive is to be connected to the Creator, but there's no such desire, for will come only through the friends, through their deficiency and a desire to bestow upon them, not necessarily in my will to receive, because they're the will to receive controls. You have to understand that progress is only in the direction of the desire to bestow. You have to be rewarded from him with this, only he can give it, yeah, but that's already arranged by the Creator. Thank you. Okay, concerning the deficiency during the ascent, compares it to a garden and to the King's Hall. What is the difference between the garden and the King's Hall? These are similar, two similar things, but one is greater than the other. Nothing more. Good morning world. 10. The question conning the Torah, how does it change us? And I would add to the question, what does the Torah do? What do the Creator do to the Torah? Turn it into a trigger that lifts us out of the 70 nations. What is it in it? What is there in it? What does it do in the Torah? In the Torah, we have a force that gives us importance. May I permission? May I continue with your mission? Does he change the structure of the Torah? The fact that there are 17 nations who don't accept it and don't he Creator, and he leaves us in a state of the excessive will to receive, or does he add some new element out of what is in him is not in us right now? Pushes us forward than using our study in our willingness to attention with him and equivalence with the Torah. That's the question I need. I think that by us connecting to becoming attached to the Torah, we get new strength from that, which summon us into an ascent, invite us to an ascent. No, I continue off. Yes, you said a while ago that the difference between us and the Creator is that we are made of 7 elements in us. Not all 7 are revealed. Is this the big difference in the Torah, that it changes the composition of the will to receive? I don't understand what you're saying, but it doesn't matter so much right now. Let's see what other friends are asking and try to answer Turkey. To can a person return to prayer in order to perform? How can a person return to an act of prayer in order to do an act of bestow from seeing that he has nothing to do it with, which he has no vessels in his hand? It's like he's in the middle of a field. All right, Turkey 7:4. Sp is the light what reveals to us the bad, or is it what fills us after revealing their bad? The light first of all reveals to us the evil within us, recognition of evil. Yes, women Turkey S4. It's written that without asking the Creator from the bottom of the heart, there is no room for prayer. So, if he doesn't have suffering, from suffering he cannot ask from the bottom of the heart. So what is the difference between a deficiency in a descent or in an ascent, and is there a difference that explains what is the difference between a deficiency in ain't or in a descent? If there is a difference in the descent, it's the same deficiency that the Creator reveals in us and the ascent when we overcome, and we prefer the spiritual ascent as opposed to fulfilling the increase of desire that we received in the descent. Key there is written in the article that if the Creator gives a little bit of elimination to Israel, they will be content with little. This is why he gave them the exile. In our situation, does the Creator also give us small eliminations, but only to add the exile? We'll see how that'll be. We are in a very unique state that is unprecedented in history. We'll see. It's very interesting how we're going to do it. Asking from the Creator even for small illuminations for awakening still gives states of exile. So what should we ask of him? Some sort of a final exit or small eliminations that are directed toward us, toward their friends. It doesn't matter what we ask. Together with the Creator, our desires will arrange themselves in such a way that a request will always advance us. Women, Toronto women, Toronto. Hello beloved Rob and friends. There is a quote in the excerpt and it starts with if one engages in Torah and mitzvah even for his own pleasure, and then it ends saying then the Creator will open his eyes to see before him a world filled with utter perfection without any deficiencies whatsoever. And so with to our work in ver 10. If I perceive a friend as suffering and having deficiencies, and I feel afraid and angry, and I want to control things so that my friend doesn't suffer, am I to understand then that this is my will to receive for myself that I'm perceiving, and that if I change my approach and change my attitude to be, for then I would actually see this friend without any deficiencies whatever, and that her life is perfect. Yes, I'm there. One. Shalom, hello, thank you. Shows us that the inheritance of the land is in revealing the wicked with the help of their wicked. So if we bring this into our study, and we want to bring this result, because this is the beginning, here we learn and connect, and we have to see the greatness of their in the connection. In the minute I don't see the greatness of their friend, it's a sign that something, or if something doesn't seem right to me, it's a sign I'm beginning to discover the wicked in me, that something is wrong in this connection here between us. Every time something like that happens to a friend, I have to ask for a correction on this revelation, and the light in our study will gradually reveal to us more and more, and this is what reveals to us. So we really do have with this wonderful work that I think is the basis for our work. What does he want to say? He's not asking a question, he's only describing what he identified. All right, let's move forward. 1. Shalom. Hello. In the article we read, Abash explains that the will to receive for oneself in general is called the nations of the world, and in the will to receive there are many desires, and each desire is attributed to a specific nation, altogether 17 nations, and we learn that God has created one opposite the other, all the 70 opposite the 70 SB of impurity. There are 70 holy SB of the children of Israel. The question in light of the increase in anti-Semitism the world over at the end of the spiritual development of humanity, will the nations of the world to join the degree of Israel? Yes, straight to the Creator. Let's hope that through our work we will correct the whole world. PT6. PT6. Hello, can you hear? Yes. We often learned on Passover materials, and you learned it many times. The question is, how do we study the Passover materials in the most correct way? Now each time we learn it in a correct way, and we will learn it the same way. Again, just answer the questions and enter the scrutinies together with all the others, and everything will fall into place. Women. Turkey 8. For spe. For it's written that the world is in wholeness, but we that this world is just becoming worse and worse. So how can we agree with the Creator in this process? When we see more evil in the world, we don't see this world in perfection, of course not, and we shouldn't accept it as perfect. On the contrary, if we exist in this world and we try to link it to the Creator, to relate it to the Creator, then this world rises to a higher degree and becomes a better world. How can we come closer to the Creator? Are with agreement only through prayer. Touch the Creator means to be connected more, and for the Creator to connect us and fill all the gaps between us, all the spaces. That's what we need. He writes in the article that a person is aided with a holy soul. He also writes it in many other articles. So the question is, what is actually this holy soul? How it connected to the major principle that a person needs to grow his lack in him. It's that light that fills mal of and is designed to correct us and to fill us. Okay, this means that this light comes each time, as he describes here, little by little towards every deficiency. Is that the action of a holy soul? Yes, Rash writes in the article that when a person is in a state of ascent, he needs to remember each time how prior to that he was a servant, how he was in a state of descent. What is that rule in my work? That I have to constantly in a state of descent. I'll turn to that state of the descent. Yeah, I think it's in order to reveal the entire world, to receive that you wish to correct. Okay, next. There are several questions about the accidents. If a person wants to protect himself not to have a car accident, he has to make sure that he doesn't clash with a car, the vehicle of the will to receive, and by that he will be certain that he doesn't lose what is given, which is the assent that he was given. Women. From PT 23 are asking, but the whole article, he says that without that crash with a desire to receive, they won't have a chance to come out of it. Can we actually prevent this clash with a desire to receive, and is it worthwhile to avoid it? After all, we're supposed to get a complete deficiency as we come out of it. Can't avoid colliding with the will to receive. We need to understand that this is kind of exercise the Creator is doing with us, so we would uncover what we need to correct, and once we correct it to the extent we correct it, we can rise to the next world, to spirituality. Women 82. How can we make it so that the vehicle of the desire to bestow does not collide with my desire to receive? If we are in a society to the friends and each one is holding the other, we try to have the Creator between us, then we can climb smoothly. Let's say more and mooring. What's the advice for a person who has been through a car accident to return back to life? Starts to work from the moment he reveals himself after going unconscious and then regaining consciousness, and then he continues. How to find advice, how to come close to the king's palace like rubbish, says the help of their friends. The more they are connected, the more they are searching for the king, so they get closer between them and to their Creator. From 31. How can a person appreciate the nearing that he given to him from above by speaking with friends how much they feel during an ascent compared to how much they feel during a descent, and by that he appreciates the state of ascent over the state of their descent. He continues and asks. It's written that without a person asking from all his heart, there's no room for raising the prayer, because without the lack he cannot ask with all his heart. So he asks, how can you come to a feeling without the feeling of suffering? You can't if I don't feel deficiency. Sufferings I don't, that I'm disconnected, that I'm in a descent, that I lack something. It's open time. Yes, that's it for now. So what's next? We go to the introduction to the Book of Zohar, or we have the Passover book, the Gate of Intentions for P, or we can do both according to the order. Both perhaps I have half an hour to 5, and then introduction to the Book of Zohar, introduction to the Book of. Okay, so before we move to the next part, we will sing a song. together. For, cat. We are reading in the writings of Bam. We're in the introduction to the book of Z. We are in item 56. At 56, you should know that all that we have spoken of thus far are the 5 parts by which the whole of reality is divided. Indeed, all that is in the whole exists even in the smallest item in reality. For example, even in the still part of the spiritual as alone there are 5 qualities of to attain which are related to the 5 general qualities of. Thus it is impossible to attain even the light of still except through the 4 parts of their work. There's not a person from Israel who can excuse himself from engaging in all of them according to his stature. One should engage in tea and with intent in order to receive the level of according to his stature. He should engage in the necessity of the Torah according to his stature in order to receive the level of according to his stature, and the same applies to time. The flavors of the for it is impossible to complete even the smallest light in without them. Okay, maybe read it again. Item 56. You should know that all that we have spoken of thus far are the 5 parts by which the whole of reality is divided. Indeed, all that is in the whole exists even in the smallest item in reality. For example, even in the still part of the spiritual alone there are 5 qualities of to attain which are related to the 5 general qualities of. It is impossible to attain even the light of still of except through the 4 parts of their work. There is not a person from Israel who can excuse himself from engaging in all of them according to his stature. One should engage in and with in order to receive the level of according to his stature. He should engage in the secrets of the Torah according to his stature in order to receive the level of according to his stature, and the same applies to the flavors of for it is impossible to complete even the smallest light in without then. What he says, a person can't attain even the first spiritual degree still of unless it is through these 4 parts of the work. Yes, so what are those 4 parts of the work that are written? Here we get to this degree and see what's before us. He writes things here 1, 2, 3, 4. Are they not relevant to us high degrees? We can't simply enter them first degree. He write here the first degree, the one the light of still of yeah. But you said that there's also 4 degrees there. He writes it like that. That's why I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll discover it and then discover it altogether. The approach that he's describing here, that we need to understand all these discernments of etc. What does that even mean, that we need to understand all these things or to reveal them with the help of the upper light that we invite over ourselves? We begin to feel, to see, to understand what's going on. But is our work to understand, or just our work is to receive the light? So that's what I'm asking. Whatever will be okay, thank you. He writes here several times according to his stature. What does that mean? According his stature, according to the stature of the vessel that wishes to reveal its connection with the 8K. The entire development of a person is in desire. Yes, so what is actually the what is where is what a person reveals inside his desire. As in what way does the desire develop actually in? What if there's, let's say, a desire to receive which is what develops, right? So in what does the desire develop? From, let's say, from still to vegetative. And what is that? Expressed in how he feels himself and his environment on a higher degree, and then accordingly the desire develops, and accordingly the light clothes it. Yes, of course. Okay, thank you. Okay. Item 57. Now you can understand the aridity and the darkness that have befallen us in this generation, such as we have never seen in all the generations preceding us. It is so because even the servants of the Creator have abandoned the engagement in the secrets of the Torah. Munders has already given a true allegory about that. He said that if a line of 1,000 blind people walks along the way, and there is at least one leader among them who can see, they are guaranteed to walk on the right path and not fall in pits and obstacles, since they follow the sighted one who leads them. If that person is missing, they are certain to stumble over every hurdle on the way and will all fall into the pit. So is the matter before us. The servant of the Creator had at least engaged in the internality of the Torah and extended a complete light from ends. The whole generation would have followed them. Everyone would be certain of their way, that they would not fail. But if even the servants of the Creator have distanced themselves from this wisdom, it is no wonder that the whole generation is failing because of them. And because of my great sorrow, I cannot elaborate on that. You can imagine how much he's suffering a little bit according to the best of our abilities. No questions, right? K. What enters as far as the internality of the Torah that he talks about? He revealed the light in the Torah. And is there a difference between our generation and his generation? Is our generation better, less? It's less good. Compared to being less good, it has greater need for the revelation of the need for correction, and in the wisdom of K, being kind of like anyone can approach the wisdom of Ab, and people seek it. What does that mean as far as ADV there? Desirable advancement. Desirable advancement is when we reveal for every step we take deficiencies on our path of correction. We'll be able to invite the light corrects us, and in this way to rise higher and towards the world where all the knowledge of the wisdom of K is on the internet and on books, and it's all approachable. Is that something that contributes advancement, or do we nevertheless need it's a preparation? I understood WR about him as if he's outside of the system because he talks. If one would see, then it would be enough for 1,000 blind would see. Would go and hear. He's the one who sees, so why doesn't he see it that way? No, he looks at it in such a way where the entire collective has to see. It is explaining it to them in a neutral manner. Who are those servants of the Creator that would like them to engage in the tea? Because he's like talking from the side. He's describing a situation as if he's not connected to it. Right? Correct. That's correct to speak this way, but he is part of the system, meaning he may even be the head of the system. So how is he talking about this whole engagement from the side? First of all, no one considers him the head of the system. That's why he's also placing himself off to the side, and he speaks in a way that will be closer to the perception of the majority, meaning that when a group of Kabbalists succeeds in advancing the world needs to recognize that there is this group that will advance it. Yes, this group is not a group. There's no group. There are many people, well, not many, but there were a handful of people, dozens, who you could say were in attainment of the upper world, and all kinds of different degrees. Not too great, but nevertheless, they were not connected between them. What does a group of Kabbalists need to do so that the people we recognize them as the head? How is that going to be working? What do we have to come and explain to the humanity that we're the head? Follow us. How is that going to work? No, someone jump up and shout it. That's the question. That's why I'm asking. So how will that be discovered? I don't know. How do you think you can get up and shout? No, and we're also not doing that. That's why I'm asking, what do you want us to do? I don't want this to do anything. I'm trying to understand until now, until we came to this here. I thought that if there's a group that manages together to reveal the Creator as a group, then somehow something will happen that I don't know what, but humanity will kind of like follow that. But now it turns out that there are a few groups, and what none of them feels like it could jump up and then shout it. So how will it happen? That's what I'm asking. I don't know, but the moment such a group will grow from many such groups that are all around, people start to hear something. That something is happening. Where I asked you before, you said that there were a few tens of people, few dozens of people that were in the upper world. Not such degrees. Is reality today better or worse relative to then? Worse. It's worse. How we're saying that humanity is an advancement and that the system is advancing towards correction. It sounds like right now it's retrieving. Humanity is advancing, and that many people wish to attain spirituality and are approaching it, but they're only approaching for the time being. They're not entering, they're not feeling it. Thank you ask a strange question, but let's say all of is one soul, and in each group a different need is revealed. Those who have a need right now to do practical things only, there those that have a need For the secrets of the Torah there's all kinds of variations. Why do everyone have to be the same? If these do this, and these will do that, and those will do that, and humanity altogether from some incorporation that maybe we don't see will advance. Why does everyone have to follow after one if they don't have a for that, and they don't feel that that's what they need? You're right, that if they had at least one wise person that would advance to the correct form, but even if there is one wise person who will even notice that he's wise, you're right. So why is this demanded this matter? Why doesn't every group just do according to their desire? How else would you advance out of a corporation, a group that will do what they have to do with intentions, and they reach what they have to reach as high as possible? Another group will engage in all kinds of other actions. These others, and through the incorporation of the soul, everyone will rise up in the sense, and who will assemble them? The Creator, the one who gave them the desires, will correct them. Okay, we shall see. I'm asking not because I think it's correct what I'm saying, I'm just asking because says there needs to be one person with his eyes open for everyone to follow. So why does it need to be that way? There has to be someone in the head in contact with the Creator, and will agree to reveal himself in such a way that everyone will follow him. And how will they see that he is as such? In different groups, each thinks that someone is there, the correct one, the right one. They don't see someone else that seems to be better. So how they see that that's the one that for the time being they don't see? That's why for the time being they can't see. Each one of them thinks they are in the right and no one else is. So they reach a certain state they can't break through forward. So what will break the tie? Here you're asking me, I don't know. Only it's clear that our state requires additional advancement, and we have where to advance to, and that's how we will advance. After all, the Creator is not going to forget about us. We are in the times of the Messiah. I don't know how long it should last, but I don't think it's too long according to what's taking place in the world. And here in Israel, we need only to crystallize more and more between us, and then we'll reach a state. We'll reach it. Key one, we read that person needs to engage in with the intent in order to receive the degree of in his stature. What does that mean in practice? To eng in order to receive in his. This is a spiritual degree that changes according to how a person aims himself toward the Creator. How do we need to aim ourselves in the direction of the Creator in order to receive the level of? We need to connect in such a way that each one deliver himself for the unity of their tin. We'll try to do it, and then we'll see how the Creator is changing changing our mind and our feelings, our perception, revelation. Everything should change according to this degree, with sorrow that if the servants of the Creator have departed from this wisdom, then it's no question that the generation has failed because of them. Who is he writing about? Those who can study the wisdom of Kabbalah and change themselves relative to spirituality, but are not doing it. Is this about us or no? We're trying so about parts of the other people that have the ability to study, but are not studying. Yes, and as long as they're not studying, the whole generation is failing, including us, relatively. Yes, so how does our work and all our efforts contribute? As long as there's a factor that is failing us, we need to try and attract everyone to the method of correction. But as long as there's a factor that's failing us, then in what is our work more powerful, stronger, and then we will try over the obstacle. So we have the strength also cast those potential servants of the Creator to awaken. Yes, thank sh people that are in a certain religion, they get some kind of fulfillment from that, and also you can't talk to them, and there's no point in talking to them about something else we already know. So why actually does this exist? Because as we heard, why does the Creator enable such a state to happen? And he doesn't, like we heard in the previous article, that if a person is in such a state, he's stuck and he can't advance. That's why the Creator gives us descent. So why doesn't it happen through, let's say, in religious? And we can see that religion is developing in the world altogether in such a way, so it seems contradicted to the process. Why doesn't he do the process Like we learned in the first article, where he shows people that he doesn't enable people to get stuck in the system. They feel that they are in the correct state, yes, but why does the Creator in name allow the state to happen? Where do we advance from? Here they need to have the deficiency for the revelation of the Creator grow in them, and for the correction itself their own correction, a way that they have no escape to want to agree to receive this desire that is the Creator, that Creator is missing from their lives, that one that manages reality, and otherwise they cannot survive, and for the time being we do not see such a deficiency in humanity. It's not even in us to such extent as much as we would have liked to be in us to appear in us. Understand, I can live today like yesterday, and maybe also tomorrow, and later. Who knows? Creator is great, he will arrange everything for me, and then I will have no other choice, and then I certainly, if I know something pains me, I will jump, and then go to acquire that desire and the medicine for my situation. That's how it is, specifically in those publics that he's talking about. Let's say in such communities, it's closed community, they protect themselves and they give a person the feeling of satisfaction of desire. So where will a deficiency suddenly awaken there? It can't accept for an above, so why isn't it being awakened from above? I guess the time is not right. What from above, hasn't that come? Yes, we're just sitting and waiting. We are, yeah, we wish to develop that desire between us, with us, and we want this desire to pressure everyone in the world. If we just sit and wait, and it all depends on the Creator, then what is right in the end of it? The great sorrow. I cannot elaborate on this because also wants it to happen, and he sees that it's not happening for the time being. Well, everyone is satisfied with such a state in your description. It's like the Creator that's the what's stopping us. It's not the people, of course. The Creator is to blame. No, I'm trying to understand really. It's like the elevator is stuck. If it's dependent on us, then there's a feeling that the Creator is not letting us stay in a state of status. He's constantly stabbing us, but we have no desire for it. You know, we can live like that the way it was yesterday. It will be today, and it will be tomorrow. Not too bad, and we even justify ourselves. Going back to the question that Dee asked, if we're talking about us or other, also us, how are we different? Us, it's clear that there's an obligation, and we can't be indifferent, and our whole path is pushed like this, and you have such an deficiency all day long, exactly everyone else the same. He has a mountain of justifications. There's nothing to do. We can, let's hope it'll change. How do we come to such a sorrow, like, or even like yours? How do you come close to that necessity? Why live otherwise? I'm now starting my day. Why am I starting my day? How will I be tomorrow? 25 hours later, tell me in what to be in the same desire, same words, same thoughts, and there's no difference between today and tomorrow, meaning I'm already dead. No, it's clear with our intellect, but and feeling, I see, like after a convention or something, that I'm filled with desire and this and that. Then I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning and everything's been erased. Right, so is there a solution? Is there something we need to do differently? Only to pray, all of us together, for each one to correct the other and to add to the general deficiency another drop and another drop. But in truth we are, I'm not sure how to describe our state, stir of sorts. No questions. You have questions, please, about that head that needs to lead and be revealed. Does the head need to be a clear body, a person, or can the head also be a goal? Actually, meaning if it's clarified that in humanity or amongst groups that the goal is connection, that connection solves all the problems, can that be the head such a goal, or does it need to be like a persona, a body that leads it? Body, you mean collection of desires? No, I mean a body like that leads humanity and explains this is what we need to do, XYZ, or that do not stand out. But it's clear amongst groups, amongst humanity, that the solution to all the problems is connection, that we need to come to connection, and this is the salvation of humanity. Not necessarily that leads it, but connection as salvation is clarified and spreads amongst the people. Can that become the head, the idea? I'll tell you only one thing. I don't think anyone who will jump today and speak this way will be accepted. I don't think it's going to work humanity as we can see the world is in a corporal state, and similarly the spiritual state lets hope that it's developing in the toward the correct discernments, but in truth we are going through very serious states, and we can't even feel the truthfulness or realism of their state. Okay, we have another 30 minutes. What are we doing? We have navigative intentions from the book, for so we'll move to the next part of the lesson, reading Passover booklet. The first interpretation on the matter of Passover and the Exodus. Probably haven't studied the gate of intentions for a while now. Maybe you can say what it is. We will see it along the way. We will feel the book, the first commentary about Passover and the Exodus from Egypt, the first generations, the generation of Enos and generation of Al. Separation expelled the above in the seventh heavens as a result of their iniquities. Israel, and in whose generation of the enslavement in Egypt were the sparks of K that elicited in the 130 years until Shet was born, and then they reincarnated in the generation of the deluge, and therefore they where they would spill their sang on the land like the root from which they were created until they were destroyed. And this is that the Creator saw that there was much evil on the land, and their shorn is called bad, and the generation was bad. And as it was written, I shall wipe out man that I created, first man that was created by the Creator himself, and his sparks. Later they were incarnated into the generation of separation, and the Creator went down to see the city and the tower that the people have built, Ben, Adam, and they're called children of men, because they were drops of S without a male, without a female, and they continued to sin, to rebel against the An, but not about the iniquity of wasting their sperm, as in the generation of the deluge. The soul's like gold, when you take it out is full of impurities, until the goldsmith purifies it, until all the impurities separate, and you see the gold. Similarly, in the souls where in the sin of the good and the evil were mixed, and especially in the sparks of sin that gave birth to in the first 130 years, and the sparks of shorn were important and holy, except that they are mixed with the cot, and you have to sort them out and correct them. Therefore the enslavement was the greed corresponding to the wasting of sperm during the generation of their deluge. Every son, that is every male child that is born, shall be thrown to the Nile, just like the punishment of the deluge against the sin in the generation of separation. Let us make bricks, make their lives bitter mortar and bricks. All the souls are from and in, because in the do the coupling is when the knowledge extends. Also the souls in the generation of Moses, and Moses himself is also from D, and the entire generation is from D, except they came out to the Sipot. The shell says there were drops of semen in the 13. The that is in the posterior of that, and the shell scrip, and they suckle the abundance from that of sin. Therefore Israel in that generation, who are from that but are blemished, the sparks of sin. Therefore they were enslaved to Pharaoh and to Egypt, who suck all the abundance of that, because they were the cause of all of this. And the exile of Egypt was to correct the holy sparks, because Egypt is like a smelting pot in which gold is melted and separated from the impurities, and is corrected. The evil deeds of the L ones cause up above the grip of the externals in a certain SB, and the abundance departs from that place, so it would not go out to the externals, comes out first in V and not in. And as Pharaoh in Egypt crept the upper dot of that generation returned to original state I, the first conception in upper I am a Gimkel 3 inside 3Z after he was born and came out of the belly of the upper I am, and in these 3 times M you can't receive the moin unless they clothe in the he of I am, and later M will clothe in it in the first conception, and in he is only of I am a in their externality. The exile of Egypt, when sin returned to conception in upper I am a, it was their 3 inside 3, so they will not so that to not have a grip in it and suck the abundance from it. Also then he had the clothed in the externality of, and all of his free, especially of where the floor of the generation is hanning. Everyone departs and do not shine inside of him, only the externality of the cloth, of the garments and the vessels of, and 5 in of I am needs them as he clothes in them. 10 in the clothing itself called thou'd, Imai, which will have 10. Discernment in the conception in. Conception is called 10 discernments in the of I am will be the 10 names of the creator, and they become clothing or garments for the 10 and of that during the gut greatness, adulthood, but now in the first conception there is no light in that of sin except for 10 clothing's 10 names included in the of I am what is up above in the posterior. As they go down they become interior the face, and you find that interior and interior are the names the he, but their externality the posterior is the square of, and it summed as 44. You find that the 10 names of E in the of I am a that clothe in the dot of sin are their posterior, where when they clothe in sin they become interior P10 times blood, 10 bloods in the woman, 5 bloods of imperfect purity, and 5 bloods of impurity of 5 times pure blood, 5 times impure blood, 5 and 5 in that of sin, 5 with their 5 garments go down into the of, and 5 with their 5 garments go down into thou of the female, and in the couplings in gives from his to the of 5 with their garments, and they find it in the of you find in thou of the female all 10 garments that are 10 times dumb later from, and from the embryo is created in the belly of the female, but the 10 garments that are 10 bloods are scrutinized, are sorted in her belly, and 5 bloods, 5 clothing of are called pure blood, because as they are posterior they are called blood, and when they are the garments offered they are called purity, and sometimes they are sorted completely and they become milk to feed the newborn, but there's waste in them that becomes pure blood, and the 5 garments of are sorted and the waste leaves them and becomes a complete shell called the impure blood. You find that these clothings, these garments themselves, whether of or are sorted, and their essence is holy, but what's left of them are 2 parts of the waste after they are sorted. One, because the waste of the garments of they become pure blood, harsh and holy judgment, and sometimes it becomes milk to the waste of the garments of complete shells, impure blood, up to here. This is how we actually need to go through the book. We will understand a little we won't understand, but we will. Here we'll incorporate in it, so it will have an impact on us some what clear questions. Ken, yes, what is the gate of intentions? What is this book? What is this part? This is a book that speaks about man's intentions towards those states that he goes through in defining his relation with the revealing holiness that is being. You started to learn about Passover, how to aim ourselves toward Passover. During the study we are breaching onwards towards revealing our foundations. Let's hope that in another 2-3 lessons we'll begin to somehow see what it's supposed to do in us. 33. What is the difference between the gate of intentions and T? We will see. We need to taste this and taste that and see what differences there are. No, that's it. Okay, he right. Egypt is like a smelting pot in which gold is melted and separated from the impurities and is corrected. What is Egypt according to this definition? Where the people of Israel who enter Egypt were filled with waste, impurities, waste, and by entering Egypt these purities can be removed from them through all the exercises that Pharaoh performs on them, and this is how they exit Egypt, pure. Specifically from Egypt there coming pure cleans. Yes, what are such exercises by which Pharaoh cleansing then blows the blows that the people of Israel received in Egypt, the plagues, the blows here he describing Egypt as part of the upper system, shells that fell from sin, if I can manage to understand it, and Pharaoh is the back of the neck in the posterior of that. Are you asking something? Yes, what according to what I understand, the process called Egypt here is depicted as something that is really part of the upper system. Yes, of course, many times we say that we are in Egypt, we haven't entered Egypt. Or what is Egypt? Really, Egypt is a system that the souls go through and are refined from the impurities in them. And where is it relative to us? I don't know what is to us that I don't know. You said that Egypt is a simple where the souls go through and get paid from their waste. Yes, meaning it's a state system where the souls enter. Yes, Egypt is in order to receive, so the souls are in order to Receive the souls that are still in the shell of in order to receive and are gradually going through refinement, purification, correction, and when they are in Egypt, these cells there's already a pure part in them. Yes, there's a part that is pure, part that is impure, and Egypt helps transform the impure parts into pure. Yes, thank you. You're welcome. By this we will conclude. What else do we have for today? The best that we're studying in the morning lessons is going to be for entire month, and we also going to study it in the noon lesson. It's important that the friends will pay attention, listen in real time or even later, but it will build us. It's not like the noon lessons are disconnected from that. It's part of we're building ahead of their Exodus. Thank you. More are scheduled for today at noon. The lesson with Laitman 5:30 p.m. reading, the study of 6:30 building a spirit society, and at 7:30 Z reading and a sum your heart. Speak, let your heart listen shoulder to shoulder. You won't be alone. Love is around the deepest ocean together withdrawn, and I won't let go. It feels so good to be a part of you. This is what the life should be, learning to unite, living in the light. We win this fight and everything's going to be alright. Learning to unite, learning to unite, living in the light. We win this fight and everything is going to be alright. Learning to you, dearest friends. Thank you for being, thank you for here. Friend, what my heart says now is the time for the wall to be broken, for the doors to be open. It's time to pray. It feels so good to be a part of you. This is what the life should be, learning to unite, living in the light. Why this fight and everything's going to be alright. Learning to you're learning to living in the light. We win this fight and everything's going to be alright. Learning to unite. There's only now only this moment when we are together as one for